Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Oh, I guess it's Christmas morning. At least for me, that is. There is nothing I enjoy more on this channel than delving into the past. These infamous flashback moments. I love it when I stumble upon a clip from, let's say, 5, 6, 10 years ago, sometimes even 20 or 30 years ago, that totally exposes these leftist Democrats for exactly what they are: liars. And today we're talking about an infamous Washington liar. That's Elizabeth Warren. Yep, I guess it's a pattern of behavior. Elizabeth Warren lying about her heritage to get into Harvard, claiming she's Native American, isn't just a little isolated incident. No, it's simply the first of many lies that we know of. You cannot trust a single word that comes out of this politician's mouth. And in my view, she's the embodiment of everything wrong with modern leftism. She is a complete fraud, a professional liar, a political chameleon who says whatever she has to say in the moment to benefit herself. And actually, Joe Rogan seemed to come to this conclusion just the other day. I played this clip for you guys, I believe, yesterday.
She got confronted about the amount of money that she's received from pharmaceutical drug companies. She said she's never received any money from pharmaceutical drug companies and never received any monies from any PACs. And then, of course, underneath it, Community Notes strikes again. And, of course, she received millions.
Yeah.
She's a liar.
He absolutely nailed it. It seems like people are finally putting their finger on it, that Elizabeth Warren simply cannot be trusted, and boy, do I have a video that will really drive this point home. There's a clip of Elizabeth Warren before she was elected to the Senate where she makes quite the interesting argument. She makes, frankly, a great point that's kind of contradicting literally everything that she's saying right now, not just her, but all of her colleagues as well. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, so let me show you guys this clip. I think it's relevant as we're having a conversation here about transparency and government spending. Elon Musk is simply trying to expose where taxpayer dollars are going, and supposedly that's a big issue. It's unconstitutional, according to Democrats. Now, with that being said, listen to Elizabeth Warren back in 2010.
The very, very smart people who run Wall Street and run these financial institutions, they knew exactly where the car they were in was going, right toward the cliff, and figured out how to still live while taking the car over the cliff.
You know, that's the most astonishing part of this whole wreck now, is that the very people who drove the car over the cliff have been instrumental in shaping how the American taxpayer was supposed to save it and reconstruct it, and that's really amazing. In the past, when you drove the car over the cliff, you lost your job. I was talking to someone who spent many years as a prosecutor, and he said, you know, when that much money disappears, it's usually because somebody broke some laws somewhere. But if we don't look, if we don't ask, if we don't uncover it and make it all public, we'll never find out.
Where is the criminal investigation that needs to happen here?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it at all. What the government didn't do is it didn't turn around and say, you lost how much money, and you wiped out how many pensions, and you wiped out how many jobs. I want to know who did what, whether or not any laws were violated, where the gaps are in the system that would permit this to happen. I want to hold somebody responsible. Responsibility is not just about blame. Responsibility is about making sure we fix this and it will not happen again. Mm-hmm. But it starts with the notion that that's the right question to ask, rather than what can I give you now to make it all better.
Wow, what a revelation. I mean, what utter hypocrisy. Now, of course, I don't think the context tracks one-to-one necessarily, but at the end of the day, that standard should apply pretty much across the board. It's a pretty universal standard, I might say. Elizabeth Warren back then was talking about exactly what we're saying now. You need to follow the money. We need to see where the money goes, and government has to explain when money is just vanishing, where is it going? And well, you'd think, considering all the money that's vanished over however many decades, that it'd be time to have a reckoning in this situation, right? I mean, some would argue it's long overdue considering the ticking national debt. That's a whole lot of money vanishing into frickin' thin air, plunging the nation further and further into debt. But no, of course not. No transparency for you, little peasants. That seems to be the standard adopted these days. Holy frickin' moly. Now that Elon Musk is doing literally exactly what she once preached, exposing where taxpayer money is being wasted, exposing how government funds are being funneled through, let's call it, these laundry programs. Now that Elon Musk is exposing the corrupt slush funds, auditing the institutions that have been draining America for years, suddenly he's the bad guy. I love how the standard always shifts, right? The moment these Democrats get elected, all of a sudden, as they're lining their own pockets, all of a sudden, they seem to look away. Folks, this is who the Democrats are. They pretend to care, they pretend to be on the side of the American people, the little guy, the taxpayer, but the second it stops being politically convenient for them, they flip. Ooh, nothing to see here. And it's not just Elizabeth Warren. Pretty much all of them do it. And they've been able to get away with it for decades because their media lapdogs never actually exposed it, never called them out on it. But luckily for us, we now live in the era of the internet, in the era of independent media. And over the last 8 years, we have exposed this Democrat corruption, these inconsistencies, the hypocrisy, for all to see. This isn't the first video. There's a reason I started the video by saying, oh, it's Christmas. This is my favorite thing to do. I've been doing it forever. There are countless old videos of Democrats saying the exact opposite of what they preach today. Remember when Democrats used to support a border wall?
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
I voted unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it. I voted for 700 miles.
Construction of a 630-mile border fence create a significant barrier to illegal immigration on our southern land border.
But then, of course, when Donald Trump said build the wall, all of a sudden all these Democrats are for open borders. And I wonder why that is. Obviously, it's because it became politically advantageous for them to shift their stance. No longer were they advocating for the interest of the nation and its residents. All of a sudden, they shifted to, oh, we could import millions of voters. We could create all these USAID slush funds with all of these NGOs and immigration groups. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump and borders became racist. You simply can't trust these people, and we have so many of these clips. Remember, just the other day as we were talking about tariffs and trade imbalances, as all the Democrats were attacking Donald Trump, he's going to plunge the world into a global recession. Inflation is going to be through the roof, they said. Tariffs. None of these other countries are out to steal our lunch. But then, conveniently, I found a very interesting clip from Chuck Schumer back in 2018 saying this.
I think the president's doing the right thing. China has been taking advantage of us for two decades. They're stealing our intellectual property, which means stealing our good-paying jobs. And I, frankly, am closer on this issue, not on many, but on this issue with President Trump than I was with Presidents Bush or Obama, because they did nothing to tell China off. Now, China, of course, will respond. But if they know we're strong and we're not going to back off, they will back off. They have far more to lose than we do. They have a $300 billion trade surplus with us. I'm looking out, number one, for jobs. You know, if General Electric moves jobs to China, they're not unhappy, but my New York workers in Schenectady are unhappy. And so you can't let the international business companies who don't give a hoot about where their factories are govern this. You have to do what's good for the American worker.
It's endless hypocrisy like that. We've had so many clips over the years. The amount of times I've posted a video saying 15-year-old video found, 8-year-old video found, 4-year-old video found that totally exposes the dishonesty of these Democrats. I mean, I've lost count at this point. I mean, just in the 2024 election, one of the biggest talking points the Democrats were running with was that Donald Trump is a danger to democracy. He denied the results of an election. He's a threat to democracy. But Democrats have been saying this while we've been circulating all over social media a 25-minute supercut montage of them denying election results. In fact, they do it almost every time they lose.
Because I think he's an illegitimate president that didn't really win.
He's an illegitimate president in my mind.
Would you be my vice presidential candidate? Folks, look, I absolutely agree.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put into office because the Russians interfered.
Russia interfered with our election, attacked our democracy for the sole purpose of artificially placing someone at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. They were successful.
And how can you explain all of these inconsistencies, the contradictions, the hypocrisies, other than coming to the conclusion that these people are bad faith liars? Of course, I know the Blue Anon shills will probably tell you, well, actually, they're just evolving. Their ideas are evolving. Give me a break. These people aren't evolving on issues. They're not changing their minds based on new evidence. They're chameleons. They change colors depending on what benefits them in the moment. That's it. There's no principle. There's no core belief here. There's only opportunism and power-hungry grandstanding. And the simple fact here is that they've been able to get away with it. You know, it's all these Democrat boomer politicians who used to live in a different era where mostly information was moving around through print media, and they had very cozy relationships with all of these networks who were controlling digital media, or let's call it visual media. And so, you know, they had a way of keeping it under wraps. Nobody knew that Hillary Clinton had a private and public opinion. Nobody knew that Hillary Clinton said something 15 years ago. It was lost in the archives. NBC had it somewhere on a tape in some back room, and nobody was ever going to see it. But nowadays, we have everything. The internet is the forever archive, and they just simply can't get away with it anymore. And I guess the question is, how can you trust somebody who for decades has been talking out of both sides of their mouth, no clear core principles? They're just going with the Washington winds. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.